President-elect Trump's cabinet taking shape, and his picks are looking to shake things up. Some of them on record criticizing the very agencies they've been tapped to lead. Gary B., you say their first job should be to fire themselves and everyone in their departments.
Exactly, Dagan. Kudos for them. The left seems to think that these agencies, these cabinet areas have existence. They're in the Constitution somehow. Like they were there in 1779. The Department of Education has only been around since 1979. Let's use that as an example. Their budget over the last 5 years has doubled. But you know what? Just one statistic. In 2015, the percentage of high school seniors that were deemed proficient in history was 12%. Now, if that is right there is not an argument for wiping out the Department of Education, I don't know what is. That's a solid F in any other person's scorebook.
Hadley, in the last 8 years, we've had overreach, overregulation, and lawless rulemaking by this administration that really crushed entire industries. What's wrong with a rollback toward putting more power in the hands of the people in business?
That's right. Americans voted for change, and a shake-up. Change is what they're going to get. It's going to be very healthy to have leaders in these agencies who are critical of every dollar and how it gets spent, critical of every program and how it operates, because, again, there's going to be alarmism and there's going to be fear-mongering that if these agencies are somehow scaled back, that this means the dismantling of the federal government or that certain jobs aren't going to get taken care of. We have state governments to do so many of these things. Gary B. mentioned the Department of Education. Education should be the purview of the states. So send that money back to the classroom, back to the states, and see how effective it can be there.
Jonas, you love big government.
The states do such a great job with the public schools compared to like the kids in like Hong Kong. Anyway, the problem actually is exactly what I'm saying, is that government in America, state, federal, is all run subpar compared to other major countries. Now, our companies are run better in most cases than almost anywhere in the world. When you're like, oh, who runs the best that, or who's the best? That's generally a U.S. company. As far as like who's got the best transportation, who has the best schools, who has the best health care when the government pays for it dollar per dollar, that's never in America. We haven't really been good at operating government in a very, very long time. I don't think we could build half the stuff we built 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. The Golden Gate Bridge, I know they can't do that today. So what I'm trying to say is having these executives in these jobs hopefully doesn't just lead to closing them. That's what happens when you have incompetent managers and you can't do it. That they could run it and be competitive with world governments who have to operate some of these things, whether it's transportation or education, and we can start doing better against other countries, not just in corporate, profitable stuff, but in the government area too.
And with just with a record number of regulations coming out of the Obama White House over the last 8 years, you get rid of some of them, or all of them.
Well, you're going a little far there, but a lot of them are going to go, and I think that it's smart to be examining each and every one of them and looking at the outputs that have come from them. Some of them are looking down the line, right? These weren't going to be efficient or productive right out of the gate, but we need to look at them, and that's for sure. But I agree with Jonas. The idea of abolishing something kind of seems like a failure, and I think it's an odd idea to put people in charge of them who have spoken to that, to say, oh, I want to run this, and I don't think it should exist. It's very odd. I'm concerned about the Department of Education and Betsy DeVos and her policies and how she feels about public schools in this country. And I believe in charter schools. I understand that. But we need to make sure that we reform teachers' unions and public schools to make sure that we can educate our children better, but that everyone gets a shot at a great education.
Reform unions, that's an oxymoron, John, but what about
it's possible.
Choice?
Yeah, but talk about reforming unions first. Look, the teachers union is the one that has hurt our education. They won't allow merit pay. They won't allow bad teachers to be fired. The Department of Education has failed, period. What we're doing is not working. And when you talk about waste, it comes from all of these administrations, all of these agencies. Look at the EPA. It was used just as a political pawn, not to merit something, whether is a pipeline good or bad. It was used to further a political agenda. That's how most of these agencies are. Again, what we were doing was not working. It's worth taking people who don't like these agencies. I don't like the government either. Most Americans don't, and trying to do something with them. 2
words, Gary B. Clean house. Final word to you.
I'll give you 3. Drain the swamp.
Hey, got somebody named Donald J. Trump elected to the White House. Thanks, everybody.